In this lesson, we're going to learn how to do some really simple things within a Unix shell. So I've started by going onto our servers through NX. You could also do that through X2Go or even PuTTY, and if you don't know how to do that, you can go back to some of the previous videos. But here I am in an NX desktop, and I can just right-click anywhere on the desktop, and I can get a terminal. So the terminal brings up the Unix shell, and on X2Go it's a similar process. You just right-click somewhere on the desktop and you get a terminal window. Now a terminal window puts you into the shell, and the shell is a text-based way to interact with a server or a Linux or Unix operating system. So instead of having icons and windows and stuff like that, you just get this text-based system. So I'm going to show you a few of the most simple commands that you might use on a sort of daily basis or regular basis when you're operating within the shell. Okay, so the first thing you need to know how to do is you need to know how to switch between directories or folders, file folders. So your files are organized into directories. So to change into different directories, you use a CD tool. I happen to have stuff that I want to look at in a particular directory, so I'm just going to change to that. Your directory structure will obviously be quite different from mine. So I use CD to change into this directory. Suppose you're in some directory and you want to go back to your home directory. Your home directory is denoted by the tilde sign. So if you do CD tilde, you always go back into your home directory. So let's switch back to that directory I wanted before. There are a number of keyboard shortcuts. So you might actually think initially, why would you use a text-based system? Doesn't that seem quite slow? But people have been using this for years, and they've programmed in lots of little tricks to help things move quickly. One of the tricks that you will use all the time is an autocomplete function within the shell. So if you hit the tab key, it will autocomplete whatever you're writing. So I have a folder that I want to go to. It's called SMM Data Store. So if I just type the first two letters and I hit tab, actually it wants the first three letters, I hit tab, then I can go straight to that directory. The reason why that didn't work initially is if you have more than one thing named with the first those letters, it will not go directly to that folder. So, but if you hit tab, you can autocomplete. So I'm there. So another thing you might want to do is you might want to look at what's in a folder. So if you want to look at what's in the folder, you can type ls. So that shows you what's in the folder. So let's say I want to go into any of these folders. I've made a few videos and I've put them into this folder, numeracy modeling DM videos. So here's the folder. Now, so I can CD change directory into that, and I really only have to hit N and tab, and it completes that. So let's look at what's in here. Here are some of the videos that I've made so far. If you want to go out of a directory, you can hit CD ... and that takes you down one level. So you're now down a level. Another really handy thing for you to know is a command called pwd, which tells you what directory you're currently in. So say I switch back to this numeracy video thing, and I type pwd, that is the directory that I'm in. Another kind of useful thing you can do in Unix is you can, if you have a mouse with 3 buttons, which if you're on a kind of Windows machine, you usually have 3 buttons, you can highlight and copy using the middle button. So I'll go back to my home directory using the tilde. So now I'm in my home directory. Actually, I want to go to that numeracy modeling and DM videos thing. So I'm going to hit CD, and I can just highlight this and click the middle mouse button. In my case, my middle mouse button is a little roller, but it still works anyway, so I can CD into there, PWD, and there you go. So another thing you can do is the Unix shell will track every command you do. So you can just type the up arrow or down arrow, and it will go up through all the commands you have done. So you can store all the commands that you've done. Okay, so if we want to list the directory, ls, you can actually get a bit more information out beyond just ls. So there's a few commands that I use all the time. One is to put a option ls/l, which is a kind of more comprehensive listing. So it shows all sorts of information on it. Let's spread that out a bit. Let's try that. Spread it out a bit. Okay, so this one, what you have is a listing. It's the same as ls, except you get more information. So that's just ls here. I just got all this stuff. But if I put ls/l, typically in Unix programs, that little dash symbol is called a flag. So here it's ls with an L flag. So if you do ls-l, you get extra information, and you don't have to worry too much about this right now, but basically it tells you, this first bit tells you what you can do with the files. They're called permissions. So in this case, I know that you have read-write permissions, and there's lots of different kinds of permissions for who can do it. So people who are in a group, people who are the administrator, or people who own the file. So this file's my file. Tells you when you made the file. It tells you how big the file is. This is how big. Or this one here is how big the file is. And suppose you were in a folder where you wanted to know the most recent files. You could do ls/l/t, and it would organize it by the time the file was made. So these are a few quite useful things to know. Two other really useful things that you might end up using quite frequently in a shell are the Control-A and Control-E shortcuts. So let's go back somewhere. So I did cd ... so that went down a level. Now say I go up to the command that got me into this particular thing, but actually I don't want to change into that directory. I want to look at the files in this directory. So instead of having to scroll all the way back with my arrow keys, I can hit Control-A, and it goes to the beginning of that line. Now I can replace that with ls, and I get the listing of that. So I can go up. Say I want to change this back to CD, so I hit Control-A, goes back to the beginning. Change that to CD, and now say I want to go to a different directory. Well, so instead of having to scroll all the way to the end, you hit Control-E, and you go to the end of that line. So now I can get back and maybe, I don't know, go into a different one. Courses. Let's see what's in here. There's nothing in here. Okay, so now you should know how to change directories. You should know how to autocomplete using the tab. And you should know how to look what's inside of a directory. In the next video, I'll show you how to make and delete files and directories.